tapang, tulad ng ilog na hindi tumitigil sa pag-agos, pag-ibig di matatapos.
Hello po. Happy International Women's Month to all of us as we celebrate po the International Women's Month. We've invited really important guests po who will be our panelists here today at Salitang Salitaan. This is our first episode in season 2 at Salitang Salitaan po. And we are excited to introduce our panelists to you. Ma'am Andre, are you there? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, wait.
There you go po.
Okay. Makulturang buwan ng kababaihan. Happy International Women's Month sa inyong lahat. Masaya po ako at ang katulad ko or kapwa ko mga kakultura na aabot ang aming pasasalamat sa patuloy niyong pagtangkilik sa kultura program sa ngayong hapon. Maraming kababaihan ang magpapakitang gilas or magbibigay ng kanilang saloobin tungkol sa pagiging babae nating lahat. So, ang magbibigay-pugay po or magre-present ang ating mga guests ay ang co-moderator na si Binibining Lilibet Sitangkon ng SDO Bulacan. Magkulturang hapon po, Ma'am Lilibet. Take it away po.
Hello po, magkulturang hapon po sa ating mga panelists. Ma'am Andre, Sir Alan, magkulturang hapon. At sa mga nanonood po sa ating FB Live tonight, makulturang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Welcome po sa ating Salitang Salitaan, sa ating episode ngayong gabi na Women Empowerment in Different Environment. Ayan po. So, buong kagalakan ko pong ipapakilala ang ating mga panelists for today, for tonight. So, umpisahan po natin, mga kakultura. She is a graduate of BS Fisheries, major in aquaculture from the University of the Philippines in the Visayas, Miagao, Iloilo in 1996. She finished her master's in public administration from the University of Batangas in 1999. In the same institution, she took her Doctor of Jurisprudence class valedictorian in 2004. She passed the Philippine Bar Examination the following year with a rating of 83.10%. She is currently working as a presiding judge at the Municipal Trial Court in Cities MTCC Branch 1, Batangas City. Buong kagalakan ko pong ipinapakilala, Judge Petronila Tanyas Argelies, our first panelist. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome po. Next panelist po natin, she is a graduate of BS Chemistry at UP Visayas, Master of Chemistry at UP Visayas also, and PhD in Engineering, major in Seafood Science and Technology at Gyeongsang National University, Korea. Currently, she is a senior faculty researcher at Iloilo Science and Technology University. Again, buong kagalakan ko pong pinapakilala ang chemist by profession, Ma'am Bernadette F. Ticar, PhD. Hello, ma'am. Welcome po. Our third panelist po. She is a graduate of BS Biology at the UP in the Visayas, Miagao, Iloilo. She took her medical degree at West Visayas State University College of Medicine, Iloilo City. She got her residency training in pediatrics at Makati Medical Center, a diplomat of the Philippine Pediatric Society, and currently a practicing pediatrician in Iloilo City and a part-time faculty member of the Western Visayas State University College of Medicine. Again, akin pong pinapakilala, Janet Gallo de Ramos, MD. Hello po, ma'am. Hello po, Doc. Good evening po. Our fourth panelist is a graduate from the University of the Philippines, Bachelor of Arts, double major, Political Science and History. A real estate broker since 2012, she is the founding president of National Real Estate Association Incorporated in Iloilo Chapter. Hello po, akin po pinapakilala, Ma'am Annie Belardel Yonshoko. Hello po, ma'am. Good evening po. Welcome po sa Kumu Academy, sa ating pong Salitang Salitaan.
Thank you po. Thank you so much. You know, I feel fortunate to be surrounded by great women po like you all. All my life po, actually, I'm surrounded by great women because I have my mom who raised me po, and I have two older sisters. So I'm the bunso, and now I have my wife and my wife and my two wonderful girls who are also konpo. Hopefully, you know, will be among these great women po. And you know, it's such a great pleasure po to have this kind of event because you know, being International Women's Month, it helps us look at things or look at something that had probably been overlooked before, and that is the women empowerment. And you know, that's something, that topic po that is also dear to my heart, of course, being surrounded by women all throughout my life, and also having my two girls po. It's very important to me, so very important and personal. So just a quick information po of our program outline. There's gonna be parang pang Miss Universe ang question po na mga tanong natin ngayon. We have 3 minutes to answer. 3 minutes to answer, and then it will be moderated by me and Ma'am Lilibeth, and Ma'am Andre will be our timekeeper. Okay. So yeah, that's all po, and we will go ahead. And those who are online also, if you want to ask question, you can ask questions, and we can ask them po at the end of the question or the answers. And or if you want also give a feedback, you're also free to say it po, and we will also read it after they answer the question. So we'll go ahead and begin. Okay. First, our icebreaker question. Ma'am Lilibeth, go ahead and ask them our icebreaker question.
Ayan, so dahil pang Miss Universe talaga ang tanong, umpisahan po natin sa pinaka hindi masyadong mahirap. Dito muna tayo. Sige. The first question is, what was your childhood like? So ano kaya ang experiences ng ating mga panelists during their childhood days? Sige po. Let us start with Judge Pet. Sige po, ma'am. Ma'am, you can have your answer.
Yes. Before that, magandang gabi sa lahat. And of course, you there in the US, magandang umaga. And parang ang pang Miss Universe ha, hindi ko napaghandaan tong tanong na to. But what was my childhood like ages ago, no? It was enjoyable in the sense that we don't have this uh, gadgets that we have now. We don't have the internet and all the things that IT offers now, no. And I had my chance to be with nature every time. Now we don't have. There is and growing by the riverside, it is just that kids, especially nga tayo female kids, were relegated dun sa home, and we're not allowed to go really outside. And it was just my brothers who were allowed to go frolicking. So most of the kids, like female kids, are they're doing household chores, but the male, they're doing the heavier stuff. So I don't know if that's a we are fortunate to be left with the lighter stuff. But yes, I could remember my childhood as an enjoyable phase of my life, since it allows me to really go out there. Yes, thank you.
That's awesome po. Nice, because grew up by the river. Same with me po. It's nice growing up by the river because we get the chance to play as kwan po, ano po, a boy who grew up by the river. Naglalaro kami ng ano to nung boat, yung mga slippers na yung mga lumang tsinelas, nilalagyan namin ng layag, tapos boat racing kami doon sa may ilog. And of course, top of that, taking a bath by at the river is really fun po. Yes, thank you po. Let's go to our next one. Let's go to Mama Janet. Ma'am Janet po.
Hi. Okay, what was my childhood like? Now that I'm thinking about it, it's a lot of play outdoors. We didn't have like the kids these days. I'm a pediatrician, so I know the really great difference of how children are raised now than how we were raised before. Before we were out of the house almost every day, every afternoon we would watch the clock. After we wake up at an afternoon nap, we'd go biking. We go to the beach every weekend. That's the luxury of living in the Visayas, very near the beach. We'd go to the beach every weekend. My mom is in UPV, so we'd play in the grounds in UPV every afternoon. That's a lot of play, very different from the children these days, especially during the pandemic where they were forced to stay indoors. So it is fun, a lot of happy memories in childhood.
Thank you po. Thank you. Yan. Di ba Ma'am Lilibet, totoo yun, no? Yung mga bata ngayon, they really stay home. Sometimes with the gadgets, they stay in their rooms, ano? I think I don't know what's the
Oh, yes
social
po.
implications of that, right? I don't know what the social implications of that in the future, because we're like a research in real time. We don't know what's gonna happen as a result of all of this. But that's why it's sometimes nice to slow down. Nga sabi nila, to be conservative at some point.
Yes
Okay
po.
po. Next, Ma'am. Let's go with Ma'am Annie po. With Ma'am Annie.
Hello, good evening everyone. Nice meeting you here, mga taga-UP. Nag-reunion kita, of course. As I remember my childhood days, actually I believe that I have a best childhood memories. I grew up with my lola though my parents just around. And I remember that I learned how to make ibos, how to scrub the floor, and she taught me also how to. I'm kind of make kind of a little girl, and until now, of course, um, it was just since we're just two in the family, I just play my own dolls like that. I don't mix with other people. But my lola taught me of great values which I imbibe until now, like how to be a responsible child, how to be committed to your whatever you do. So until now, I still do that. So it was the best.
That's awesome po. Yeah,
That's all.
yeah, yeah. That's yeah, thank you po. Thank you. That's I mean, there are those who grow up like talagang by themselves. Ako po, I grew up by myself kasi I have two older sister who is a little bit much older than me. So ako, I play by myself kasi isang lalaki. So, I play under our house dun sa kubo-kubo po namin in the Philippines. So, I play under our house just by myself. So, how about Ma'am Lilibeth? Are you also how many siblings do you have?
We are four in the family.
Ah, four.
Pero nakaka-relate ako sa kanila. Kasi yung ginagawa nila, I still do that during my childhood. So although hindi kami
Oh,
magkaka-same age, pero na-experience ko talaga yung talagang masasabi natin na childhood. Because there is a lot of difference between childhood before and today. Talagang they are really prone in the devices. They have a lot of devices, gadgets, and now there are more focus on that gadget, no? Hindi sila talaga outdoor ngayon. So
oo.
nakakalungkot pero there is a lot of big impact especially in their studies.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yes, yes, and I could see that also as a teacher. I know sometimes you can see them, parang parang their attention spans a little shorter. Wherein they could easily get swayed with excitement. I noticed that po. With like ma-excite lang sila ng konti, they're gonna be like, I want to say something. Parang ganon. That's what I see from my students here. They get really excited and they want to give their opinion every time po. And sometimes that's a distraction in the class. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a good thing because we have children who are very open to speak about their own experiences. But the problem is sometimes the distance between uh, the boundaries between that and being quiet in the classroom is I don't know, sometimes disregarded. Um, okay po, Ma'am Bernadette po. Ma'am Bernadette, thank you for joining us.
Yes, yes po. So, good evening, everyone, and sir, good morning there in the US.
Hello.
So, and Miss Andre, thank you for inviting me in this platform. So, in my case, I also grew up under the care of my grandparents. So, this question made me miss my grandparents, whom I think they until in high school, yes, they were there for me. So, growing up with your grandparents, I think there is that sense of protection, sometimes overprotection. And my grandmother actually is a stage grandmother since there is no presence of my mom because she also go to school. She's a teacher. So my grandmother always visit me in school. And actually, it's not really that bad for me that I have to that the presence of my grandmother is all I always see her in school, and I think yeah, it made me a person I am now because I have this feeling that very familiar. I am what is this? wherever I go, as I took my PhD abroad, I have my fellowships abroad, but I really need to come back to the Philippines. I think it was really instilled by my grandparents to me. Yeah, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And that's really great. You know, going back home, it's always, Kwan po, it's always great that you go back home and you give back to the community po, ano. In the case of Ma'am Bernadette, um, it's oh, it's great, Paul. Well, it seems like I've known all of you for a long time now because I've learned about your childhood. And that's always the effect of learning about each other's childhood. Sometimes we all can relate with each other. But then again, I don't know how children nowadays could relate to us, our own childhood, since we have almost like completely different experiences from the past. Now, let's go ahead and continue with the next question. Who or what inspired you to take up your profession? So I want to ask this question first po to Annie. Um, because she's a real estate agent. My wife also, by the way, is also a real estate agent here in the U.S. And she just recently sold the house. She's in Seattle right now, across the country. Across the country, we're here in Washington D.C. She's there in Washington State, selling houses. um, yeah, so congratulations to my wife. Again, happy Women's Empowerment Month or International Women's Month. Ma'am Annie, go ahead po.
Yeah, that's good to hear that your wife is also a real estate broker.
Yes.
Anyway, my profession actually is not a by accident I become a real estate broker because I was invited by a also a from UP to be a part of their in-house agents before. So actually my course is BA Political Science and History. So quite far from what my profession right now. So um but then I am so blessed that I become a real estate broker because um I can um I have many people na that I inspire also, like my fellow agents like that. So it's an inspiring one that if I see them sell, if they close the deal. So it's very inspiring and motivating. And I do more as a broker. And I coach them more and, makaka-help sa income nila. So that's the best thing that I could have for them.
That is awesome po. Yeah,
So hindi talaga broke real estate broker ang by profession ako. So pero I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here and I'm happy.
yeah, so it's by accident. Ano po? I think my wife could also say the same because she's really, yeah, she came from the Philippines as an executive producer of a TV show back home in the Philippines. So she's in the more like mass comm industry. And it's always great to move to a different career. For me, I've moved to three different careers already. So sometimes I feel like that's how I feel getting old. Moving to different careers. um all right, Paul, we'll um go with our next s- hold on a second, I just lost my screen. Dr. Janet, Opo,
Hi.
who or what inspired you?
To take up. I'm a pediatrician, but also I teach in the College of Medicine. There is a doctor in the family, so the influence is really strong. I would stay in my aunt's clinic most of the time when I was a child. Sometimes my mom would leave me there, so I'd observe whatever happens in the clinic. But then my mom's a teacher, so I guess that the the force is strong there that I find myself teaching now. I denied it for a long time. I applied for a faculty position in West maybe 10 years ago, and then I kept on delaying it because I didn't want the I mas napapressure ako sa teaching kesa sa practice of pediatrics. And then I have an advocacy on the side. I'm a breastfeeding advocate. So in the Western Visayas, I'm the head of the breastfeeding committee. So that's a lot going on right there. But then it's all related. It's maybe I'm not aware of it. And when Andre invited me, as I told myself, am I really an empowered woman? But then, um, what I do maybe shows that there's a lot of women influence in my life. My aunt and my mom, a doctor and a teacher, they are the ones who influenced me to what into doing what I do now.
That's awesome po. Ma'am Lilibet, being a teacher, about what's your comment on Ma'am Janet's comment po or answer?
Actually, I agree with Doc. Actually, it's really hard to be a teacher. Uh, it's really very pressure. But then, if you are in it, kung meron ka talagang passion, if you are dedicated, you have actually teaching is not only teaching alone eh. Kasi you are giving your part, you are sharing your part, your life, you're part of your life. So hindi mo siya masasabi, hindi ka magiging teacher kapag hindi mo share yung kalahati ng buhay mo o yung buong buhay mo. Kaya it's really hard because sometimes you will meron kang iiwanan eh. Meron kang hindi mapupunan kasi yun yung ang ating pinaka advocacy, ang ating pinaka gusto ay matuto yung ating estudyante. So kung pag di natin binigay, sabi nga hindi ka pwedeng magbigay kung wala ka nun. So dapat yung buo. Yun po. So na talagang I agree with ma'am. Pero kaya kailangan po kasi gawin talaga para po sa sabi nga ng DepEd para po sa bata, para sa bayan. Yun po yung aming advocacy para sa bata, para sa bayan. So we're doing it not for ourselves but for the future of our children, for the youth. Yun po. Kaya
Yes, sir.
Ma'am
Big po.
Bernadette, saludo po ako sa iyo, Doc.
I really can relate. Now I can relate to that also. You know, when Ma'am
Yes, sir.
Janet mentioned that, and Ma'am Lilibet had mentioned that. Po, I can completely relate. Sometimes it's hard. You know, like I keep telling our principal or head of our school that I don't want to stand in front of the children without being prepared. It's hard to stand in front of them not being prepared. So you always really have to give your 100% every time you stand in front of them. Talking about standing in front, Ma'am Judge Pet. Judge Pet, who or
Yes.
what inspired you to take up your profession? Po?
Yes, but before answering that question, I would like to chime in that teaching. It is really a passion. You know what? I have been teaching in the College of Law of Batangas State University for 16 years already. No, and all my weekends, just all my Sundays were devoted to that. Imagine 16 years of my Sundays because our students there are usually working students so that they only had time to go to school on weekends. So I had my family day for 16 years uh, on a Saturday. And just like what you said, the pandemic had slowed us down. And I had spent these 2 years, Sundays of these 2 years with my family. But really, I enjoyed teaching despite the sometimes sometimes you are ready, or yes, more ready than your students. Like in the College of Law, we have this very uh, the students are expected to really come prepared, but sometimes they do not have that preparation because of this diversion of this technology. And every time that I would want to like give up teaching, I would just go back to the thing that inspired me to go into this profession. This profession is really a noble profession, like siguro the others also. But why did I go there? It's because when I graduated from UP and I had siguro man totoo ito, the notion that this is a premier university. And I thought that after graduating, the companies would take me or give me the jobs, I'll be the priority. But that did not happen. So what would I do? So I said to myself, so I cannot go to the medical profession because we had no money. I know how much it entails, no? I cannot go to the engineering profession because I'm so poor in math. So this is the only thing. And but seriously speaking, it's aside from the financial constraints that we had experienced, the family had experienced, and being in law school in the province would afford me to have this profession without really costing so much. No, I uh, I know that this profession would protect me and my family despite the the economic status that we have. If you have a lawyer in the family, then you can protect your family. And also, since I was a graduate of UP, I want to give back to the community. So I had served in the public attorney's office also for 5 years.
Uh, Yes, that's awesome, Paul. That's really great to hear. I like it like how you pointed out that, going to UP, being in that institution, we know that, that's a well-known institution all throughout the Philippines. And, you would think that, you would be assured a job, a position right after di po ba? And, even actually, even with me, with uh, being a master's degree holder from Harvard, sometimes there's discrimination against those who have graduated. They think that sometimes others or other companies would think that, oh, I'm so privileged, I had a good life because I went to Harvard, so they think that I'm very privileged to be able to go there, that na yung experience ko, it was I went through it so easy. Naku, kung alam lang nila, di mo ba? Kung alam lang nila, if they only knew what you had to go through in order for you to finish your studies, they would not discriminate. Okay? Because, like I said again, there are those companies that would discriminate. Oh, you had a good life kasi nag-Harvard ka. Mga ganon. So sometimes that's the reason why they won't hire you, because you were sometimes what they say overqualified. Okay, I've
Yes,
had a lot of rejections because of
yes.
that.
They add that they will be threatened by your presence because you might introduce some changes in that company. That
Yes, po.
that's one of their resistance, siguro.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up again. I think that just boosted my morale, because sometimes I do feel that. I do feel that I feel like I become a threat. And it goes along. Actually, we could go through a long story with this one, po. But even my experiences in our own home in the Philippines, because I was a teacher there in the Philippines in one of the college universities there, and it felt like one time I became a threat, and it was not a good feeling. Oh, it was not a good feeling. But Mom Bernadette, hello
Yes.
po.
Yes, sir.
I
Yeah.
know your connection po.
Actually, the
Yeah, your connection's a
yeah.
little ano po, it's bouncing back and forth kasi it might be not po, yung internet connection. Sometimes it logs you out. Are you getting logged out po?
We cannot hear very well.
Oh, go ahead po. Go ahead po,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah. So actually, being a chemist is not really the profession that I really want at first. Um, I really wanted before to, I'm holding big newspapers and reading it aloud. I really wanted to become a newscaster. But after high school, we went to UP, and a friend invited me. Actually, I also want to go to BS Biology because I wanted to take up a medical course after. But I said it would be a very long time, yeah, to be in to go in school. So my friend invited me to enroll in BS Chemistry, and we were only very few. I think we were only six when we started the Bachelor of Science in Chemistry in UP Visayas that time. We were pioneer graduates of the program of the UP Vimiagao. And now I really love my profession.
I think she just oh, hold on po. There we go. She's back. There we go po.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay po.
Um, yeah, long before I really don't like BS chemistry because it's very difficult. Yeah, really
Yeah.
very difficult. You know, we have to take up a lot of mathematics, a lot of chemistry, a lot of physics. Yeah, everything. It's really very difficult. But after graduation, um, I worked in UP Visayas as a research assistant, and I think I spent there almost 6 years. And I went for my PhD, and yeah, now I really love my profession. Such when I graduated my PhD, it was the time that I was so engaged in my profession. It's like when you have this, you discover things for people, you work with the community, you make people's lives easier. I think it's very
I think she got disconnected again. Opo.
Sir, I'm really very sorry.
No, that's
Yeah,
okay po. No, that's
maybe
okay.
my connection is really, really choppy. So
Okay.
anyway, that now I mean it was I wasn't inspired by anyone or any person or anything about my profession. It's only I was a willing victim that time to take up chemistry, and I think it worked for me. It do good for me, and yeah, I love my profession. Yeah, this time. Thank you.
That is great po because not everybody really find their niche, in something. And there are those who actually move from one career to another because of that. You know, and that's not necessarily a bad thing when people move from one career to another. But research, though, on the other hand, is sometimes it's not the most popular uh, field. People ba research. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, it's not really the most popular field, but it's fun po. It's very fulfilling, and I've actually have done a couple of research also working from the laboratory here in there in Washington State, medical laboratory. We've also done a couple of research, but yeah, it's really not the most popular field. Some people think it's boring. Research is boring, but there's a lot of fulfillment when you know that you're helping the community in that way po. Ano po? Yes. Let's go move on to the next question po. And Ma'am Bernadette, we will go ahead and kasi kayong nahuhuli palagi, we will natatanong.
Um,
We will start with you in this question po. Uh,
what
what
challenges?
challenges did you face in your field being a woman? So yeah, you mentioned
Okay.
for the you that you like it, that you like the field your field right now, but what are the challenges?
In the Philippines, I think none. Yeah, in this field. But when I was doing my PhD in Korea, and I have my fellowships also in other countries. in male-dominated countries, I think there's really a big problem because it's like the men, they always the leaders in the laboratory, especially in Korea. Long before my professor, it's like because you're a woman, you cannot do this kind of job. You cannot perform these things. But I really made it possible for my professor to understand that I can do everything also. And actually, when I was having my PhD, I was it's like a culture shock for me. I entered the laboratory. We were like only three women, and there were like 10 men. And okay. So, Andre really told me that you must really secure your connection. Anyway, uh, um, in other countries, it's really a big problem. You have really these challenges being a woman, especially in our field. But I think when I got back to the Philippines, there's really no problem. Yes, really no problem. Because in the Philippines, if you are in this field, I don't know with other organizations or other institutions, but in our institution, it's like if you're a woman and you're in this field, you are really something. That's also the benefit, no? If we are only a few in this kind of profession, you can really do something. You can make things work. It's like you can make things happen. Because, say, for example, you did an experiment, you've discovered something, you do like that. It's like people really believe in you because we're only a few. We're really a few in this kind of profession. And yeah, it really pays if like that. And yeah, I not much really challenges here in the Philippines. If you are in this field, you are really people really respect you. Yeah, men and women alike. But in other countries, it's really a big problem for women in STEM. Yes, especially in Muslim countries. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
very true. That's very true, ano po. Yeah, 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 that's very true because in sa Pilipinas nga with I guess maybe it also has to do a lot with the culture, ano po, ma'am, because of in the Philippines there are women had been empowered also, though we're a patriarchal or patrilineal society. Women are still empowered. Proof of that is the Babaylan in the Visayas
Mm.
region. Right, Ma'am Nilibet?
Yes po. Actually, babaylan is the first priestess before. So
Yeah,
talagang ginamit ang mga babae. They play a great role in our history.
yeah. So po, Ma'am, and Lilibet, so go ahead. I will. Many of these questions later on is from you, so I'm gonna have you moderate for the rest later on. Okay,
Okay po.
talking about women empowerment. Okay, let's go ahead proceed with our other panelists po. Ma'am Janet, go ahead po for this
Okay,
question.
when I first saw this question, I thought of it as on a personal experience, and from what I've been experiencing now in my practice, I actually see being a woman as an advantage. I'm a pediatrician, and mothers would naturally gravitate towards other mothers to have their children checked. I'm also a breastfeeding advocate, so it actually has an advantage. But when you look at it deeper, when I think about what I had to go through, okay, I finished everything, the long haul of medical profession. I actually finished everything before I got married, before I had children. Because if we break the process, if we stop in between, the momentum of getting into medical school, it's hard to get back to it. So that's one disadvantage of being a woman in a medical field. when you have medicine is a 24/7 job. So we stay in the hospital most of our lives. Then we go with even with our families, and also in a bigger scale, like a national scale. Out of the probably 28 already, 2026 or 28 Department of Health secretaries of the Philippines, only four are women. Okay, and out of the world today, there are 135 million healthcare workers. 70% are women. Maybe this looks like a good number, but when we look into it, they have observed in studies that women are more involved in the caring and not in the leader or not um, in the leadership of a government or let's say a healthcare institution. So, on a personal note, seemingly there might be not no or there are no discrimination or challenges at present, or maybe because we have we overcame it. I have overcome it, the challenges for myself. But thinking about it, I had to go through an extra like effort, maybe for going, getting married, for going, giving birth or having children, because I have to get into this profession. And also, well, the numbers speak for itself for like our national posts. So those are maybe the challenges we face in the healthcare industry, the women face in the healthcare industry.
Thank you po, ma'am. Thank you. Such a great input because, true. I mean, sometimes yung kwan nga, like yung sinabi nyo kanina, the women or woman mothers would first gravitate to another woman also po. So that is an advantage as a pediatrician. Ano po. But let's talk to our kwan po, to our judge who is here at the house. Um, being we know that law or in the field of law po, it's really male dominated ano po, because looking at even the Supreme Court justices, they're mostly male, and not only there in the Philippines but even here in the US. So what are the challenges po being in that field?
Yes, I would just partly agree with you on that. No, I also agree with Dr. Bernadette on her observation as to the national
Janet po,
level.
ma'am. Sorry. Janet po, ma'am.
Hi, Janet.
I
I'm sorry.
remember, I remember you in college. I remember
Yes,
this.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Dr. Janet, no? And on the national level, we have our 15 associate justices, and only two of them are women. And we are so happy about it, no? That we have women associate justices. And during from 1901, when the Supreme Court was established until now, we only have 16 female associate justices. That is 8.5%. But you know why I'm happy about that? Because in the US Supreme Court was established in 1789, and they have only 3.5%, only four female associate justices. You can correct me if I'm wrong here, no? And can you see that difference? 3.5% in the US as a justices, but in the Philippines, it's 8.5%. And the next thing is that this profession, if we consider all the judges, justices, and the justices of other collegiate courts, judges in all the provinces, uh, the judicial magistrates or the jurists who are female are more than our counterpart by 1%. So 51% of our magistrates are female. We are now 1,163 female or lady judges and justices. So for me, I do not experience any barrier or hindrance as gender-based, no. But as Dr. Janet had mentioned, it might be there might be a subtle gender bias, no? That because baka ano lang kami, we are assertive of our right, we are in this profession, that's why we did not have we did not experience it ourselves, but for those who are not in this profession, or in this like a judge or those female lawyers, maybe they can experience some gender bias, like in the court there are some slurs, no, but these are being attended to by the Supreme Court by introducing laws, like you know that there is a this is a an old law, but there was an house bill now for us women to have this express right to retain our maiden name when we get married, you know. So in Article 370 of the Civil Code, it's it's stated there that you may use this following, like your first name and then your surname, and add the surname of your husband, or your first name then your husband, or just add a prefix of Mrs. and then the name of your husband. Then this House bill now clearly states that a woman who is married shall have the option to retain her maiden name. For me, that is an empowerment of a woman to choose, really, that he has that legal right. No. So I just don't know if the Filipinos will be accepting, but let us see.
Great point po, great point. How about let's ask Ma'am
Can I
Lilibet.
add just to what
Oh yeah, go
attorney
ahead po, Ma'am
said?
Janet.
Alam mo yung totoo yun, no? It's really true that we might not feel it for ourselves because maybe we are assertive, maybe we have been trying too hard. But then for the majority of women, it doesn't come out like as normal to them as we had. And maybe even we have experienced it before, but we just didn't notice that we had to fight for some sort of equality that we didn't know there was an inequality that existed, or we didn't feel it. It was just subtle, and these subtle things that the subtle signs or symptoms of inequality in society are the dangerous ones because we don't get to recognize them. Right?
That is
Yes,
very true po.
if I may add to that, no,
Opo.
siguro this would apply to our kababayans, no. You know that there is disparity in the crime of adultery and concubinage. When adultery, it is the wife who is the offending spouse, and the maximum penalty is 6 years, no. But if it is the husband who is the offending spouse in concubinage, the maximum penalty is 4 years. So, and not only that, the disparity also is in the proof. If it is adultery, the offending wife can be found guilty if she is found to have sexual intercourse with another man who is not her husband. But if it is the offending husband, ay, ang hirap i-prove. Kailangan like ibinabahay niya muna, or in their conjugal dwelling, or in any other place, he must cohabit. So there are this disparity. I know in other countries like the US and other countries, these crimes, these adultery and concubinage are not crimes anymore. So it's only here in Taiwan where these are crimes, still crimes. Because in those other countries which decriminalize these offenses, they said that as a human being, we have this right to self yung sexual preference and sexual determination, and also right to privacy. Now, you would ask, paano kaya? I-accept kaya na hindi kasalanan yon? It still would be illegal. Yun sana ang ano natin. But the consequences must be not imprisonment, but civilly liable for damages, or the guilty spouse should not be entitled to support, or it could be a ground for annulment or nullity of marriage. So yun ang ano lang. But now, I think there is a bill for the amendment of the same, until na lang, hindi pa na-approve, na gagawin na lang siyang marital infidelity, in which the penalty would be the same. Kung husband man yan, o kaya wife, who commits that infidelity. So,
Really great points po. Thank you for bringing those up. And indeed, those are kwan po ano, that challenges for gender differences Um, really great point po. Um, let's go to Ma'am Annie. Ma'am Annie, how about in real estate? Are there any challenges in that field if you are a woman? Nakamute po. Sige.
Pang more of challenge on ano, it's more of conflict lang minsan of time. As a working mom, sometimes you have to prioritize first your family before going to work. So, like for example, if I have a mga agents like that, if we have some schedules, they will tell me, "Ma'am, nagkasakit yung anak ko," like that. So, it's more of conflict because of mom duties like that. So, even though we have our husbands like that, still the mom is expected to do such responsibility to our children. So far, in real estate, it's more of I may say in my group, I have 97% of in my team are women. So their reasons are more on they learned from from like COVID, like last time their husbands were not able to go back to work. So some has lost their jobs. So it helped a lot of being a salesperson or a agent. So yan lang naman sir. So far 97% in my group are women. So as to clients, if they are more wala namang so far wala namang bias as to kailangan babae or lalaking agent. So wala namang ganon. So it's even um more welcome yung babae kasi sabi nila magaling mag-explain like that.
Yes,
As
it's
I
true
observe
po.
also in other groups, it's more of women. So we need to have a investigation or a study why it's a female dominated job.
That is true po because my wife is really great in sales talk. Yeah, so that's why she's also a great one. She's also a great real estate agent. Ano po? Um, what about Ma'am Lilibeth? What do you think is so? Just kwan po a word on so far with the challenges.
Ayan. So, actually, our panelist for this evening has a huge input, no, especially in women empowerment. Actually, the word empowerment is very large, no. There is what we call empowerment in society, empowerment in economy, politically, education. So all of that issue has been tackled by our panelists na masyado nga akong na-amaze kasi hindi pa natin tinatanong, nasagot na nila. So, Ma'am Judge Pet, no? Judge Pet actually give more inputs about laws that will benefit all our women, especially in providing benefits, protection in all women in our society, especially the what we call the gender biases at adultery, concubinage. So, now, yung mga nanonood po sa atin ng mga babae, magkakaroon po sila ng ah, pagdamdamin na maging strong, na tumayo para sa kanilang sarili because na there is what we call law that will protect us. So, ngayon pa lang po, nai-empowered na po lahat ng ating mga nanonood sa FB Live, of course. Ako din po, thank you po sa ating mga group of panelists for this evening.
Oh, okay. I think I was muted while I was saying that. Po. I was muted, ano? Sorry po. I was muted. Anyways, like I had mentioned po, which I was muted. These are great information because even before um, we had asked a question, it was already answered by our panelists, and it's really great to know. Um, because of that, but we'll probably not be going to be asking all the questions that we have prepared because it's already been answered. But we'll go ahead and proceed with the next question, which is, what do you think are the changes that are needed, if any, if there are any changes that are needed in our society to empower women? So let's have Dr. Janet give us the first answer for this one.
Okay, first one, I think girls should stay in school. Now, in the Philippines, we still have, especially in the towns or in the provinces, there is still a notion that girls should stay in the home and do household work. Um, by making girls stay in school, we empower them with education, with knowledge, and then make them realize that they can do better or they can do well as men. Second is by making people aware that we have well, in the field of medicine, we recognize the strength, the physical strength, that there's a difference between sexes. No? So there's physical differences. That's why in medicine, for example, there are fields that are predominantly male dominated, like let's say surgery or orthopedics, and then pediatrics and obstetrics and gynecology are women. So by making people aware that gender equality is not a battle of sexes, but it's a recognition of each one's strength. So that by making people aware that as a woman we have our own strengths, that will make us even better than, or make us in more excel in more field than maybe men cannot do. I think education has a lot to do with it from the beginning. So I think we are in the society right now. I think we're better off than way, like let's say maybe 20 years ago. But it starts from the childhood, from education and early education, I think.
Thank you po. Great feedback there, no, Ma'am Lilibeth, right? Education, very important. We're both in
Yes.
that field of education, kaya mahalaga yung tungkulin ng mga educators talaga, no? Because we have a great role in
Yes,
as
it's
far as
true.
educating our young women. Yeah,
Yes, sabi nga po, the main weapon which can use to stop gender discrimination is to educate people, to educate women. Because
that is a
before
great
po,
quote. Yeah.
opo, before po kasi yung mga babae, hindi na po pinag-aaral ng kanilang mga magulang because they think, no, mag-aasawa lang yan, wag na natin pag-aralin. But then, because we
Mm.
now move into what we call gender equality, girls now, women now are in with education. Actually, sabi nga nila, no, there are a lot, increasing number of women in the field of education.
Really great po. Thank you po. So, ma'am, let's go po with Judge Pet. Judge Pet po, in as far as this question, what do you think are
Yes.
the changes that are needed?
Well, can I just be allowed to copy paste the answer of Dr. Janet? no, no.
Yes po, you're more than.
I agree with her, totally on those 2 points, and really, this a fight. This is not a fight against men, no. It's just a fight by side with them, no. So for the women to empower them as to know their rights, kasi ako nasa field of law, no, we have this a very potent law, no, kung minsan nga na umaangal ang mga kalalakihan on how potent this law is, this RA 9262, that is anti-violence against women and children. Pag
Mm.
nasaktan mo ang babae, then the woman can file a case already, no. So you should know your rights, and you should assert, not only know your rights, but assert your rights. And there are authorities there. There is also a law, I think it's 7192, our Republic Act 7192, that really mandates all government agencies to have in place this GAD, the gender sensitivity programs. So everybody can, or every woman now has an avenue to protect herself. And we should encourage them to do that. Not only encourage, but assist them.
Thank you so much po, Ma'am Pat, the Judge Pat. Great answers. And see, we're learning, Ma'am Andre, di ba? We're learning a lot from this discussion, Ma'am Lilibeth. Definitely po,
Yes
we're
po.
learning a lot. How about po in realty realtor business po? Being a real estate broker po, Ma'am Annie, what do you think are the changes that are needed? Because but as you mentioned a while ago, there's really not that much discrepancy, as far as the um, challenges. But if there are any changes that you would want to see in for example in realtor in industry, what would it be?
Should has a great role in empowering women, especially in the laws. Though we have already many laws that to protect women, but then I think it must be geared towards programs and activities like equipping skills of women, offering trainings like that, so that they could have a livelihood program for women. And empowering women is not only from the government, from schools, institution. We as women, me myself as empowered, we are already a big contribution to society to empower others. So like me, I always set as an example to my sales agents that we can do it. We can augment the family's income through our sales like that. So being there as a leader is already empowering. You must be a leader empowering others.
That is
You
great po.
must set as an example.
Yeah, being a leader, there's a you have more reach to empower others. Okay, may
Yeah.
it be women or men. So being a leader itself already has a great reach to empowering others. So that's a really great point. Mom Bernadette, I think she dropped and
Yeah,
then never got back po.
yeah. Actually, Doc Bernadette is in the field right now doing field research.
Oh.
Her internet connection cannot really suffice our time. So that's
Mm-mm.
why she begged to drop of the role po.
Okay, okay. That's okay po. That is completely fine because I know how it is with at the field work. Okay. With this, we're gonna ask the last question po, Ma'am Lilibeth. Go ahead and this is the last question po.
Yes. Now, our last question for our panelists. What advice do you have for women who want to work in a male dominated field? So, let me start with Doc Janet.
As I've said before, the differences that we have with men should not be viewed as a weakness and rather as a strength that we can utilize in our own unique way. Okay, a lot of these women issues stem from women would actually look down on themselves. Okay. Hindi ko alam kung where this culture, maybe from our culture, from how we were reared as children, in our childhood, that we are we are na ini-inculcate sa atin na when you are a woman, you have to stay home, you have to take care of the children, you have to. We can actually use this, okay, the femininity, the caring, a strength, in the field that we want to get into. So dapat hindi siya view as a weakness. Okay, it's not self-pitying. It's not also trying to fight men. It's just recognizing your own strength and working on it so that you can do better in probably the same field. So that's the advice that I want to give. In my breastfeeding advocacy, we have already there's already a law on giving uh, enough time for women who breastfeed in the workplace to have extra breaks, to and maybe to even bring their children to the workplace, because from this, I think, from these notion stems out the notion na hindi pa pwede maging leader ang woman because she has a family to take care of, she has children to take care of. That's the sad part of it, because it's not supposed to be that. We can have a way around these things. We can do, let's say, mothering or being caring in a work environment. So we recognize our strength. You recognize your strength and work on it, and work on it as to your advantage. Yeah.
That is a very good point of view, because even there are also like notions. For example, if you are a stay-home mom, that you for others, maybe they think that they are not empowered, but it's how you view it also. It's how you view, even if you are a stay-home mom, that's actually a lot of power right there because you're the manager of the house. Right, you're the one that's taking care of everyone. You give the directions, to the house. So it's being even as simple as the being a stay-home mom. It's a great duty. So it's a matter of how you look at it. It's not don't and you're right, Paul. You don't have to look down at yourself. Kung if you are a stay-home mom, there's a lot of great things. And I give actually nagbibigay kong pupugay din po sa mga moms who are staying home, and doing their task at home, because that's a lot of work. It's a 24, 24/7 talaga. 24/7, and no breaks also for moms like that. And Mom, Janet had mentioned about moms being able to bring their children at home. I mean at work. Those are great things, but I think something that the different companies should look at, because that's again, that's one of the things, because moms are in many societies are expected to be the ones taking care of the children. But then if at the same time they're the one that's also they're also working, how can that happen? Well, well, one way is like what you said. They can bring their children at work, and they should be allowed to. And that's especially here in the U.S. There are a lot of companies now that allows that to happen, which is good. I think it's really a good direction for that we're headed. Um, so there's maybe laws that we need to work on, ano po, to be much closer to that target, that women can bring their children to work. How close are we there to that, Kwan po? Let's ask our judge. How close are we there, po, wherein we could have laws that would actually give women the opportunity to bring their children to work, you know.
Uh, as of now, I don't know of any law for providing for those things, siguro aside from yung breastfeeding law na yan, no?
Mhm.
But I was really awed by the Prime Minister of New Zealand, before the ex-Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. She brought the baby at the UN General Assembly, and
That is
when in
awesome.
the
Yes,
Parliament, dala-dala niya yung baby niya.
oo.
It's the way that things are there in New Zealand. Parang it's parang Sana we will have that too, but we
Mhm.
have a large population, baka children will get in the way. But in malls there are nurseries and feeding station, breastfeeding station. So we are slowly going there na. And also for the advice for male-dominated field, the first thing that you're there, ibig sabihin, you are an assertive person, that you have something. So you must continue to assert yourself, not on the basis of this stereotyping of this gender, this male and female, but on the basis of their competence, your skills, and your performance. So yun, as a human being, we're equal. And also, I would advise the women to invest in themselves. You study, you practice some skills. There are so many programs of the government, yung mga trainings we have in TESDA, yung mga ganon, and education. So, yun lang, investing in oneself. And now, as I've said, the legal profession is no more male-dominated field. Like in the College of Law, the Batangas State University, 64% of our students' population would be female. Female, and only, of course, the rest, it's 36% are male.
Yes, that is true, Paul. That is true, and I do see more women actually taking on that role in like law firms like that. Um, Mom, Lilibet, what do you think about that? Like what about your view, for example, in as far as you being able to bring children, your children to work as a teacher? How close are we there?
Okay, so actually,
Like,
teaching is a female-dominated field eh. So
yeah,
hindi talaga kami nakaranas na talaga we are dominated by male. So pag sinabing teacher, talagang lahat yan eh puro babae. But
yeah,
then the very first thing na we encountered is it is very hard for us teacher the what we call the law that will protect us. For example, no, in regards of health, marami pong nagkakasakit na teacher but there is no proper health care that would provide for us teacher. Like for example, policemen, soldier, they have what they call veterans hospital. But we ask, no, what about us teacher? We don't have any hospital to take care of us. Kapag nagkaroon po kami ng sakit, especially during pandemic times, no, we still in the industry, we still get in touch with our student. We still have what they call giving modules to them. So that time, it's very hard for us. Kapag po kami nagkaroon ng COVID, saan kami pupunta? So there is no proper healthcare that will protect us, teacher. So we always ask, no, bakit kaya gano'n, no? Since we are both, no, sabi nga ni Ma'am kanina, ni George kanina, there is no battle between two sexes here. But then we always ask, there are a lot of law that will protect us. So syempre, naisip namin, no, we only want to assure safety and protection. Yun po. And then I always think of na marami pong there are a lot of many laws protecting women, so from death, domestic violence, and other problems. Siguro, but still we have some cases reported na marami pa rin pong mga babae na nakakaranas ng violence, no. So ang ibig sabihin po, kailangan pa po natin intensify ang implementation ng mga batas na 'to. And next is, kailangan po sa ating tayong mga babae, we should take the initiative, the effort to build ourselves, no, to make us strong, yun. So yun po.
thank you, Paul. Thank you. Those are great input, Paul. So even in the stuff even in real estate business, actually, I don't know if real estate business is more dominated by male or female now po. Ma'am Annie, how is the real estate business po? Is it male or female dominated po? And what advice can you give for female real estate agent or real estate broker po?
Actually, we there are no statistics yet to show
I think she's frozen. Oh, okay. I think she's frozen po. Can you hear her po, or is it just me?
No, she's frozen. I would just like to fill in, no? Siguro yung mga male-dominated careers are like those in engineering and those in military. Still now they are male-dominated. I think, no? So, yun.
Do you think there's going to be a concern also, for example, if it's like it becomes female dominated, and then how about if the so what happens then? Will will the male start complaining also for that? I say, oh, how come it's more female dominated now? What is happening? So you think there's going to be a need also for like men empowerment? Opo.
Yes, they have brought that up in the law that I've mentioned a while ago, RA 9262. It's a very potent law uh, for women, and the husbands are now asking for the amendment of that law to include them, because they said that there are like few husbands who are being battered or abused by their wives, but that was opposed by a female representative, district representative, saying that in our society, which is still patriarchal society, it is still the women are still prone to abuse. Well, in fact, in 2020, there are 11,000 women victims of those abuse, physical, psychological, and emotional abuse. So maybe men can band together and ask for the like another law, but not the amendment of that anti-vowsy law.
Yeah,
Pwede
yeah.
nga rin yun.
Would it is it harder to amend a law po, or just create a law? Which is harder, amending a law or creating a law?
Amending a law would be easier if it's not contrary to the title of that law, or the
No.
provision of that law, because like what I've said, it's RA 9262, anti-domestic violence against children, women and their children, and the men would like to have that law amended and have them incorporated in that. So it would be much easier if they would create another law for them. Of course, if it's really, there are instances that the male or the husbands are the ones who are abused, di ba? May mga ganun din naman. Ano. So there are other provisions in our revised penal code which will protect their rights. Ang ano nga lang talaga, in our setting, ay talaga mas marami pa rin mga kababaihan ang naaabuso.
Yeah.
But this law is not against male only. It's any partner of these women. So it can be
Yeah.
another woman, no, or a
Yeah.
lesbian. So that is the content or the provision of
Yeah.
that law.
So sometimes it becomes more of like a tool for issues.
Yes.
It becomes more like a toll for issues, and then it's yeah, I know it can get really messy po with um with all these things that are happening, but then in many cases po, we could say in I wish Ma'am Bernadette is still here. There are some cases that are outlier, ano po, in as far as for example, if as a research is concerned, there are some cases that's completely like an outlier, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a something that would uh, have us changing a law just because one thing had happened. So, but anyways, Paul, this has been a great conversation, and I am so happy that we had this Salitáan po, where women empowerment in different working environments. And thank you for giving us your time. Ano po, really, really a great opportunity for us to hear. And for those teachers who will be watching this later on, many of the teachers that we have, most actually 90% of our viewers here in Kultura po are teachers, and they will be watching. They usually watch this po as a playback to since this is a recorded event. They watch this as a playback. So any kwan po, so let's have our final word. Let's start with Ma'am Andre, because Ma'am Andre, uh, being also uh, the managing uh, producer of our shows here in Kultura Academy in Riverboy Studios po. Ma'am Andre, any feedback po on our conversation today?
Actually, there's a lot of insights that all our speakers are given. By the way, Miss Annie got brown out in their home, so that's why
Oh
she was
no.
dropped from StreamYard. At anyways, in sa iba't ibang environment ng mga babae, marami tayong um, mga siguro as of this moment achievement. Mula noon na bago pa lang batas, ang mga babae ay siguro second class, pero ngayong in a millennium, in the 21st century, we are already empowered. Yung implementation ng batas, nauumpisa na, implementation na lang every siguro sa school, siguro yung sa teacher, sa aking nakikita is may marami ng teacher ang introduce ng gender sensitivity unknowingly to their students, pero nakikita na natin na equality yung implement ng classroom in terms of laws and rules and regulation inside the classroom. Yun po ang aking nakikita kasi isa po akong teacher. So, makikita ko po na iba noon kasi my mom is a teacher. So, makikita ko talaga yung teacher noon na nag-implement ng kasi yung kanilang training is a patriarchal, pero ngayon little by little we as teachers ini-implement na yung gender sensitivity. Yun lang po ang aking nakikita at ang na-observe ko at na-realize ko sa ating mga speakers ngayong gabi. And for those teachers or students who are watching us live at playback, ito po yung Kultura Code para makakuha po kayo ng certificates from Kultura. It's triple S, all caps, triple S, 2E, 1.KC237. So you need to go to www.riverboystudios.com, go to events and surveys, and then key in your information so that you can have your soft copy of your e-certificates. And later on, we will give you more on the programs of Kultura. Thank you po.
Thank you so much po, and again, thank you so much for joining us po, Ma'am Janet, um, Ma'am Judge Pat, Dr. Janet, Judge Pat, Ma'am Annie, who a while ago po, and Dr. Bernadette also for joining us, and Ma'am Lilibet, thank you also for joining us po. It's such a great pleasure to have you as a co-moderator po in this event.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much po sa aming panelist.
Thank you po. And by the way, Sir Alan, we will plug for tomorrow's event.
Yes, yeah po, opo. Go ahead po, Ma'am Andre.
Okay, we will be having our a special lecture tomorrow on the use of nang for baybayin. So that will be March 26. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sir Alan. Is it 3 p.m.?
Yes po, we have changed it to 3 p.m. tomorrow. So at 3 p.m.
Okay.
po, the use of the case of nang and nang on the use of baybayin is very important lecture po, and as far as baybayin is concerned, really important, and due time also that we need to have that lecture po.
Okay, so tune in for another program of Kultura for the end month for Dokyo Komentario. So stay tuned for further programs that we will be looking forward to for this year 2023 for Kultura. with the Baybayin series or Baybayin lectures po for
Yes, thank
this
you
year
po.
for PRC accreditation.
Yes.
Salamat po.
Thank you po. Thank you po, Judge Ped, and po
Thank you. Thank
Dr.
you.
Janet. Thank
Thank
you
you
po. Thank
also.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything to plug po? Meron po? At your end? Wala na. Okay.
Opo, opo.
Thank
Great
you.
day po. Great night sa inyo dyan. Our day is just beginning here. We're headed straight to church right now po. My mom is a deaconess in our church. So, she's also an empowered woman for me. So thank you po. Again, thank you so much for everything. Hope to see you in the programs like this po. Maybe next time we could invite you individuals, Ma'am Judge Pet and Ma'am Janet, for our other programs po.
Yes po. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Good day,
po.
everyone. Good night. And good day, Sir Alan.
Good night po. Thank you po. Thank you, sir.
Ay, kumbutang
Halungan mo na tao ko ni mga bayo, ha?
Stipos.
Hindi nga namin, di mo.
Sir, goodbye po. Hello? 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 Okay na.